What is my political and ethical? Oh, sorry, from the last video. Anyway, what is my political and ethical views? If we could just all get along and like not force stuff on other people and like not use violence, like that's the entire. I think the harm principle is really important. The idea is you should never do harm to people unless you have to really have to stop them from doing harm. You know, like. So basically, that's the main basis of my political and ethical views, is if we could just like be voluntary with each other and not force anyone else to do anything, and all just cooperate and not have like and maybe not have hierarchies and do things more democratically. Like if we could just like lessen the conflict and the force on others, that's basically it. And that's why like. Part of me is idealist and thinks that maybe if we could just spread this throughout the culture, that you should never force people to do stuff, that like you shouldn't make your opinion law, then maybe if we can like change the culture, the rest will follow. That's what they call in China the cultural intellectualist approach. But anyway, which is the cultural intellectualism, the idea that you change the ideas of a culture, you change everything else. Everything else will follow. But yeah, that's basically it. We need to all get along. Like, there's if I think that cigarettes are bad, and I do think that cigarettes are bad, I'm not going to force you to not smoke cigarettes. I can try to peacefully convince you, hey, cigarettes are really bad for you, you shouldn't do it, and you probably shouldn't do it around other people. But like, I'm not going to make a law saying that you can't buy cigarettes. I'm not going to support banning cigarettes, because I see all law and government as either violence, threats of violence, or veiled threats of violence. So that's why I guess that's what's led me to libertarianism, is I have such a pacifistic nature about me, and I hate conflict so much. I hate conflict, and I'm pacifistic in terms of in nature, in terms of how I act and how I feel about things. That I'm led to libertarianism, especially in the social sphere, because I just think it's wrong to use violence on people, to enforce your opinion. That's why I strongly support LGBT rights when it comes to getting married, because what people don't understand with the gay marriage issue is that it's a matter of violence. That's why libertarians support legalizing gay marriage. It's not really a matter of rights; it's a matter of voluntariness. People should be able to voluntarily contract with other people. They should be able to voluntarily fall in love with one another, and hang out and fall in love and do the sexy time, even if it's unpopular types of sexy time with other adults. And just do their own thing. But when you make gay marriage illegal, that is literally violence. That's a threat of violence. If gay marriage is illegal in your state is basically threatening to use violence on anyone who has a gay marriage. It's a threat of violence. And if you break that law, violence will come against you in the form of you getting fined or thrown in prison. And if you don't pay the fine, you'll be taken to prison. So, yeah, it's a threat of violence, and that's why that's what leads me to be libertarian, especially because I believe my entire ethical and political views are voluntariness. And for those of you who are very familiar with libertarianism, you're probably thinking, oh no, not this again. I've heard this about 1 million times. But if you're new to libertarianism, that's basically the idea, that you should never force people to do anything. We should make everything as voluntary as possible. Although, of course, that sounds simple. There are some gray areas. Like when it comes to economics, it gets a little gray. Like when it comes to what seems to be economic exploitation. Is it exploitation or not? And is that exploitation a form of violence itself? So that's why there's a libertarian capitalist movement and libertarian socialist movement. When it gets a little mixed up in terms, but the basic idea is still there. Hardcore authority is bad, violence is bad, peace is good, and the idea is that we need a society that is as peaceful and non-aggressive as possible, as an end goal, as something to strive for. And that's basically the principle, like, of my entire political ethical views.